My name is Gabe Salazar. I'm the new artistic advisor in residence for GALA Choruses. I just started. I'm really excited about it. I'm also the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida, Florida's artistic director during my 5th season, and I'm going to introduce Eric. He's going to tell us about himself and then give us a great explanation about Dorico and switching over from finale. So, Eric, take it away.
All right, yeah. Eric Knechtges, composer, arranger at large, working with GALA Choruses. And a little background, I've worked with Finale for 25 years, and so I was surprised as the rest of you when the announcement came out that it was no longer being supported. I'm still kind of a baby in terms of like working with Dorico in that I really only started solidly using it over the summer, but figured at least maybe I'm a few steps ahead of you all in working with this program. So hopefully could give you some resources and give you, if you've kind of been waiting on the sidelines to jump in, give you some ideas of how to get started in the program and that sort of thing, what you'll be faced with. So first things first, I did put together, and I'm putting this in the Zoom chat, and I'm not sure if it's going to show up in the recording. I did put together a little web page here, which I'll go ahead and share my screen here. No, and I lost the Zoom chat when I did that tonight. There we go. So this is just a little web page that I put together with some links to various resources here. So yeah, I'll just click through these real quick. So there are a couple of Facebook groups out there for those of you still using Facebook, which I'm one of them. But this is just the general, and people post questions in here on how to use Dorico all the time. And there are a number of folks who are pretty prompt in responding, within a few hours, usually. Somebody will pop on and have a response to whatever your question is. More focus on the finale to Dorico change, because a lot of folks is this learning Dorico for finale refugees. And this is usually where I end up posting things, especially like if I'm saying, well, this is how I did it in finale. How the heck do I do this in Dorico? Because some of the terminology is a little different. And some of the ways of thinking about things are a little different, which I'll go into. Then yeah, there's another forum post. Steinberg is the parent company for Dorico, so somebody posted tonight a bunch of nice, helpful links here, sort of in additions to the ones that I've got. There's a video series. So Jason Lafredo was a person who had done a whole video series on power users of Finale. And so he's been going through the transition like the rest of us and swore up and down that he wasn't going to do a video series on Dorico because he didn't want to waste that kind of time. And he's doing it anyway. So these are fantastic.
Hello. Welcome to
and
Finale to Dorico, Conquering.
I won't play it all through, but he's got a whole series of these videos. Usually this is episode 1, and there's like several of these where he's just going through the basics and also things that he's coming up against. His finale videos were great. I mean, I watched those all the time. So if you're somebody who's more of a visual learner, like walk me through step by step, these are fantastic. Yeah, there's a whole website of Dorico tutorials. These are great too. Learned how to get around in just 11 minutes. These are actually on Steinberg's website. So that's sort of there. Now I did this Udemy course here, and this was how I put aside time to walk through this. I put aside a good solid couple of days on this and got through pretty much enough that I felt like I didn't need to go through all of the rest of it. But I purchased this course. It normally goes for $90, but they dropped the price down to like $12. Like today, I think I just logged on and looked, and I think it was $12 today. When I bought it, it was like $9.99. So there's deals on this thing all the time. So this is another great thing to just work your way through. For just some basics of and the nice thing about this one is there are little projects that it like has you work through, and then it walks you through how to do it. So it starts out with like a 1-line thing. There is a choral score in there that you put in. There's a piano piece with all sorts of extended techniques in it, all sorts of things that you might not even realize that you have to do, you might want to do at some point, that it kind of walks you through, but also walks you through the basics and all of that. Little Dorico cheat sheet. This is super valuable. I had one of these for finale probably somewhere too when I was learning it. So just basic keyboard commands. I will say one of the things that I love about Dorico, which you'll see when we dive into it, is that I rarely need to click on, Finale, it was always about clicking on the tool and then, going and doing my thing and then clicking on the tool and then maybe clicking over here for something else. I rarely have to click on anything in Dorico. I can do everything with keyboard commands, which is so much quicker. They really kind of had workflow in mind when they were building Dorico, and making things faster. And then, yeah, this is just a link to Steinberg's page about how to get, because Finale kind of made on their way out, made a deal with Dorico to say like, okay, so if you haven't done the cross grade yet, this is just sort of a list of like how you can do that through your Make Music account. You can pay for that cross grade at the discounted price. So, anyways, let's get into it, shall we? So here is uh, when you open up Dorico, you'll get something like this. I think you have to go through the installer. I'm not going to waste your time with that. You can figure that out. But like when you open up the program, you're presented with a few options here. So either open, if you have projects, you can open recent projects. I'm going to do create new. And there are a bunch of templates, just like there was in Finale. There's a several templates in here that you can choose from. So there'll be a lot of things already set up. I'm going to do empty for now, just so you can see what it looks like when we start something from scratch. So empty project, because is some weirdness that you kind of have to deal with in how Dorico deals with things, and it turns out to be really nice, but it looks kind of funky. So yeah, I could put my title in here if I wanted. Uh, the composer is me. Page, rastral size. This is just how big are your staves. I actually usually end up scaling this down. So you can set that, and you can of course reset that at any time. These are not like you're done kind of things. Wonder if I leave that blank, if it's going to let me do it, because I want you to see what happens if you don't set some of these things, which is fine, but okay, I think it might have let me. Okay. I'm going to do add a single player. I'm just going to put in this. Why not? Yeah, okay. I was hoping it was. The weird thing is when it pops up, there's no time signature here, and this is where I think people get snagged right off the bat, is they can't figure out like how to put anything in because it doesn't default to. And it also in Finale, when you would enter notes, it would kind of automatically add bars. Dorico doesn't do that, so you kind of have to know a little bit of what you're doing there. Just to make sure I stay on track. Hang on 1 second. I want to get my outline here. Um, yeah, so yeah, so over here, this is one weird thing about Dorico. There are 5 different modes that you kind of have to operate in. Finale lets you be kind of seamlessly between all of these. Dorico does kind of separate these, which takes some getting used to, and I constantly am always still forgetting which mode I'm in. So setup is where you can add instruments to the score, remove instruments from the score, all of those sorts of things. So if I want to add so these icons down here, there's kind of the one person here, and then there's multiple people. So this is the difference between a single player or a single vocalist and a section. So they differentiate between these. The reason that they differentiate is section players you can do divisi. So if you have like a soprano section that you want to have divide somewhere, you would end up choosing the section player. It just the way it automatically handles things. There ends up being some differences here. So if I wanted to do SATB and I didn't want to use the template, I would just come in here. I can type in soprano. It will find it. I can do an alto. Boom. And it automatically it noticed I was doing vocalist, so it added the bracket in. Tenor. Let me add another tenor section just so you can see the sub bracket that it automatically will, I think it will do. Yeah, and of course, yeah, you've got the options. Do you want it in bass clef or treble clef? So and it'll default to, yeah, so it automatically adds the sub bracket in there, which I think Finale did that too, if I recall. Um, and then if I want to add a piano, that's going to be a single instrument here. So all right. Now, yeah, and you notice things got all of a sudden got really wide. There are some So there are, yeah, there's a layout option. I'm not going to try and find it right now, but basically, this is what I was sort of alluding to with it can save you a lot of time. There was a threshold that once you get past the page being that percentage of being full, it automatically stretches things out to fit the page. Right now, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, well, that threshold was probably too low, so I could go in and I'd have to dig for where that setting is. But like chances are, if there's a default and you don't like the way that it looks, there's a setting somewhere that you can find to deal with that. There are
And
two.
Eric,
Yep.
can you make this screen your full screen just for the video
Sure.
people?
Yeah, it's because
So
it's
it's
teeny.
just a little larger for people.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me. I think I can at least. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yep. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So at least, I mean, I can try to get the whole page on there, but so you can kind of see. Um. But what I was going to say here, so there are two views, just like there were in Finale. There was scroll view and there's page view. They call scroll view galley view, but it's the same kind of thing where now we've got everything. And if I add measures to this, so let me show you how to add measures. If I click on one of these I've got to be in write mode. So if I go to write mode is where I can enter notes and enter all sorts of other things. So I'm out of setup mode now. If I click here. Shift B is the tool for anything to do with the bar line. And so this brings up one of these popovers. Popovers are the kind of shortcut to do everything in Dorico. And there's keyboard commands for all of these. So if I just type in, say, 100, it will add 100 bars. Boom. Um, if I want to make this a double bar line, I just this is that vertical line tool. I just make a sign like a double bar and it will do that. Or I can actually type out the word double too. Yeah, the nice thing is that like they've tried to anticipate what people would try and type in there and try to second guess you. So chances are there have been so many times where I'm like, I'm not sure if I know how to do that. And I take a wild guess and it's usually right. So, I mean, same thing with like a repeat sign. If I just type something that looks like a repeat sign, that's actually how you do it. So there is a lot that ends up being fairly intuitive. Key changes, Shift K for key, and it's just uppercase for major, or lowercase for minor, so B flat. So super easy there. Meter changes. If I wanted 3/4, so Shift M was for meter. So I just type 3/4. That'll change that, and it automatically kind of tries to rebar everything the best that it can. Of course, it noticed I put in some bar lines here, and so it's doing weird things right now. So let me delete those out. It's trying to second guess me. So let me do that again, and I think it should. Oops, Shift M. There we go. Yeah, it was trying to reconcile those bar lines and keep them in the same place. That was the thing.
And
Uh,
what were you using to delete? Like, can you do
oh yeah, I just the
Control
delete
Z or
key. So yeah, if I just
okay.
highlight just about anything, if I delete this, I think it'll probably go back to 4/4. I'm guessing. Oh no, it goes back to no meter at all. Yeah, so it is actually really easy to enter things without a meter here as well. But yeah, so all I would do is just put something back in here. Um, if you want to pick up. It's 4/4, and then if I do comma, and then however many beats long the pickup is, 1, it automatically will do that. So this little thing here, so signposts, anytime there's a change, it just, yeah, I mean, that already, I'm like, okay, I remember how difficult that was in Finale. So that's a hell of a lot easier already. Um, these little signposts, and you can hide these in the view menu if you don't like how they look. I keep them on all the time just because they don't distract me, but some people I know they do. So but anytime there's a change, these are there kind of in all views to like sort of warn you what's going on. So let me go ahead and enter some notes here. So it now for me personally, I'm gonna do a little bit with a MIDI keyboard as well as just with a regular keyboard. I actually don't use a MIDI keyboard to enter things, but I know most people do. Um, so it's as simple as if I'm wherever I want to enter things at, if I hit the return key or the enter key, it goes into this little thing. So there are a number of ways you can do it. The way that I usually do it is I've got my number commands set. So the numbers are set to my durations over here. So this is similar to how speedy entry was in Finale, if you were a speedy entry person, where each number corresponds to a duration. Um, I will say also, and I'm not going to show you where it's at here, but you can actually remap every single key command in Dorico. There's a place to do that. I went through and remapped my durations to be the same as Finale speedy entry because I just could not rewire my brain. So 4 is still an eighth note for me. 5 is still a quarter note. And I think they're like one off in Dorico, which is but I'm not sure what they are in Sibelius. They might match up with Sibelius. So um but anyway, so for me, 4 is an eighth note. I think by default 5 is an eighth note or something like that. But anyway, so whatever duration you want to enter, you click there. If you have it set up in the default mode, if I go ahead and play notes at this point, so I'm playing these on my keyboard. So it just goes ahead and puts those in. It does try to be smart about when you do have accidentals. It will try to spell them in a way that makes sense. Where I really noticed this, you click down. Okay, and if you want to get out of note entering mode, you just hit the escape key. Um, of course, yeah, Command Z for undo is my friend. Anytime you screw up anything, it's pretty good about that. The nice thing about this, if I just put in some chords here, it's pretty smart about trying to enharmonically respell things in a way that makes sense. I think, let's see if I can trick it into, I'm trying to think. If I play a G major chord here and then do a yeah, yeah. So this was a C flat major chord, but it figured out from context that I probably wanted a B major here. Now, if you don't like what it picks for whatever reason, um, then you could, option, and I'm not sure what it is. It might be Alt probably on a PC. Um, if I pick any of these notes, so I'm just going up and down to sort of go between the notes of the chord here, and any of these I can do Option plus or the plus key technically equals, and it will respell that, or minus to respell it down to the next note. So super easy to, if you don't like what it came up with or you want to enharmonically respell. If you're like me and you don't want to use a MIDI keyboard, you can also just enter note names. So I'm typing F, I'm typing E, F, G, A. If I don't like the octave it's in, if I do Command Option down arrow for an octave, um, or if I just do Command and up and down, well, no, that's not what I wanted. If I just do Command up and down while I'm on that note, um, no, maybe it's not Command. Option, Option. Option up and down does it by diatonic step. I think one of these combinations does a chromatic. And I can't remember what it is now. Maybe it's Shift Option? Yeah. Yeah, Shift Option will go by a chromatic step. So anyways, didn't want to spend a ton of time on that, but that is kind of the important thing there. If you are a person, if you're used to doing it the other way around, where I know there's a way to specify the pitch before the duration, you can do that as well. So I've not done it this way, so I'm going to be experimenting with this here. But so I think with this, I play the pitch, and now I have to tell it which duration. So I can click 4 for an eighth note kind of thing. And I know some people do note entry this way, where you've got to hit that duration every time. But I think this way, yeah, you could also cursor around to some different pitches too. So this is the interesting thing though. You see there's these little tick marks above here set up every eighth note. The interesting thing is you never have to explicitly put in a rest. And this took some getting used to. Um, like if I want a quarter rest and then I want a note on beat 4 here, you don't actually put in the quarter rest. You just cursor into wherever you want the next note to be. I'm going to go ahead and turn off this right here. If I do quarter note, and it will automatically fill in whatever rests needed to be there to get that note in the right place. The other weird thing that takes some getting used to, and you have to do some gymnastics, is so it you have to try to put rhythms in that are technically incorrect. And what I mean by that is if I do a quarter note here, and then I do an eighth note, and then I try and do a quarter note, so I'm breaking the rule of you can't go over the middle of the bar. It doesn't want me to do that. It fixes it to the correct notation. And so it's got a bunch of notation rules built in about how rhythms are notated and that sort of thing. And the interesting thing is you can use this to your advantage. Like if I wanted, at this point, if I wanted a dotted quarter note tied over to an eighth note, I can put, so that adds up to a half note. I can just put in a half note at this point. And it kind of does the math and figures all of that out. So that's taken some getting used to because that knowing that can actually save you some time with some of the syncopations that you end up with in pop music, where it's like a quarter note being off the beat. I mean, I can put a whole string of these in now, and it will automatically kind of put the ties in, or it recognizes this as a pattern that comes up often enough that people are fine with seeing it that way. Again, if you don't like that, there are settings where you can change that. But anyways, I think there may have been one more thing I wanted to be sure to get to here. Yeah, if you don't like these rhythms and if you don't like how it notates it, there are ways of sort of fixing these. So let's say I don't want it like that. Let's say I want a tie here. If I change this to an eighth note, and then I go over here to this clamp, or I use the O key, that forces that duration to stay what it is. So then hit enter, and then still eighth note, I enter another F. If I do escape to get out and go here, and then I do T for tie. Okay, now it now it did something with that. So maybe I want to go back and also make sure this one doesn't do anything. So same thing, I'm going to clamp that one with the O and then back here T. Okay, so um, I'm sort of trying to be painstaking about it now of like showing you which tools I'm using. I mean, obviously, once you get a little quicker, this key commands like that to freeze your durations and things get kind of more instinctual. Um, but yeah, so the one thing that a lot of folks ask about, and I know we're running short on time here, but I do want to try at least one of these, is can I get my finale files into Dorico? Um, and yes and no. So I'm going to do import from XML. So if you've dealt with anybody in any other notation program, you can export finale files into XML files. And then if you try to import here, let's see if I've got any living in here. I think I must. Finale files. Oh, let me just open a random one here. The only problem that ends up happening and where things get kind of ugly, it mostly has to do with layout. So create all new players, sure. Um, I think well, okay. It's going to try to import this into the file that I'm in. That's the problem. So I kind of have to create something new. Don't activate. Sure. Yeah. All right. We'll just do the default. Whatever. Um, Let me try that again. Where was that? Finale files. Try this again. Yep. No, don't do that. It put it in its own. Yeah. So flows are different movements that you can have in one file. So it actually created its own flow for that. Yeah, so it does weird things with the layout because it tries to accommodate where I had my system breaks and page breaks built in. What everyone will suggest is you just kind of do a Command A on this in write mode and just copy and paste everything into a new document. And that will get rid of all of those formatting things. But yeah, if I had more time, I'd show you that. But that's kind of what for that conversion from Finale to Dorico, that's usually what they suggest, and that will because once you paste everything into a new document, it won't try to put these frame breaks in, system breaks. Um, but yeah, Anyway, yeah, frame is what they use frame for a page. So when they say frame breaks here, but anyways, really quick and dirty intro. Gabe, any questions from you, I guess, in the -2 minutes we've got left?
I have a quick question. In terms of playback, instruments, that kind of thing, is it similar or?
It is very similar. I'm actually
Okay.
so I use Note Performer in Finale as a virtual instrument, and that integrates seamlessly with Dorico.
Okay.
You can use, if you use Garrett Instruments or the Aria player in Finale, it automatically does those. It does have built-in sounds that come with it too. I think it's called Halion or something like that. So whatever you want to set it up with. Now, it detected that I had Note Performer and it integrated it when I
Oh,
set Orco up in the first place, and I didn't have to do a damn thing. And it actually there are some things that it catches that Finale didn't in terms of, things that I write into the score that affect playback. So yeah, I mean, the integration with Note Performer is even a little better, I think, than it was in Finale. So, um, yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah, sure.
huge.
You'll be hearing from me more probably.
Yeah, yeah. I did put on that web page that I mentioned at the beginning. I did put my email address at the bottom of that in a way that hopefully the spiders won't find it. Um,
Perfect.
so yeah, if you do visit that page, then you want to send me an email for tech support or reach out to me on Facebook or wherever you want to find me. Um, anything is fine.
That's
Great.
great. Well, and Gabe, I mean, Eric, assuming this is okay with you, can we just link from the Gala Resource Center to this webpage? Okay, great.
Absolutely. Yep. Please do. Please do.
Thank you.